Hello, my name is Paweł Lekki. I'm a co-founder at EXOR Studios, and today I'm going to talk about how to sell your game 10 years after the release date. So, to give you a brief introduction about who I am and where our company comes from, EXOR Studios was originally founded in 2007, although we started as a modding group back in 2003, where when we worked on source engine mods and even before that on Half-Life 1 mods. Our first project was a multiplayer online vehicle combat game called Deep. The acronym stands for Die in Pain, Rest in Peace. So that was our first larger project. We didn't release it commercially, but it has seen its public release on Steam in 2008 as one of the first five ever released source engine mods to be available on the Steam platform when the platform was still closed. So after Decrypt, we released Zombie Driver in 2009, and then Zombie Driver HD in 2012 on various consoles. I'll talk a bit more about this title later. After Zombie Driver, we released X-Morph Defense, the follow-up, a new original game using our proprietary technology. And right now we're working on the Rift Breaker, which is coming to PC and various console platforms. So we've been an independent studio for 13 years. We don't have any outside capital. All of the company's founders are still working at the company, and we've self-financed all of our games, all of our production, thanks to the sales of our games. And as you see, it doesn't look like we have that many. So how did we do that? How did we manage to finance our company and sell our games for all these years and stay afloat? So during this talk, I'm going to go a bit into Zombie Driver sales and its history, then a bit more into X-Morph Defense, some key sales highlights, how we do PR and sales scheduling, our DLC strategy, and I'm also briefly going to touch on physical distribution and then move on to how we use our older games to boost our newer ones. So Zombie Driver was first released on Steam on December 4th, 2009. And afterwards, we released it on other PC storefronts, the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, including PlayStation Plus. So it was downloaded hundreds of thousands of times in PlayStation Plus. We also released it on Ouya, Android, Windows Store, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and most recently on the PlayStation 4. So as you can see, the game is being kept alive for all of this time. It is still selling. We are still releasing it on new platforms, and we are monetizing this product all the time, basically. We never stop. The latest release of Zombie Driver is called Zombie Driver Immortal Edition, and it's a true testament to how this game works. We are also planning to release it on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. So it looks like it's going to live on for another couple of years at least. We've sold about 1 million copies of the game, of which 585,000 was sold on Steam. A bunch of copies was sold in physical edition because the game was released in 58 countries. around the world. Our rough estimate for that is about 150,000 copies, but it's really hard to tell because physical distributors don't always provide full sales data. And the rest of the sales was on other platforms. We also used Zombie Driver as a marketing vehicle for our newer games, and for that purpose, we've given away 1.5 million copies of the game for free. So the total user base of legitimate users is about 2.5 million. Plus, we have no idea how many pirated copies. So uh, the game is currently known among gamers, and people do recognize it, and us as a developer. So now to go into the meat and bones of this. So what I'm showing here is the sales summary for Zombie Driver, the original release on Steam in 2009. As you can see, well, in the beginning, we have some traditional. This is pre-purchase. We had a short pre-purchase when before launching the game. Then the game's release, and the traditional slope down. And here it's the first daily deal for the game for Christmas. And traditional sales knowledge says that you get 30% of your sales within the first month, and then you get the rest. So uh, this is not true in the case of Zombie Driver and our future games, and I think that it shouldn't be true for most games because when you look at our sales graph for Zombie Driver, which was later in 2012 replaced by Zombie Driver HD, the game kept on selling. We kept on running promotions on Steam. You can see bumps here and there. Excuse me. And the idea behind this is that by uh, running various PR activities, releasing updates, adding DLC, you can keep the game alive. Even up here, you can see this is 2017, one of the largest sales spikes for the game, and later on, the game keeps on chugging along. The sales right now aren't spectacular, but we do keep running sales regularly, and it's helping us drive revenue forevermore. This is, of course, only sales data for the Steam platform because I can share Steam sales data without breaching NDAs. Unfortunately, I can't do that for console platforms. But to give you some perspective, the Xbox One launch was the most profitable for us, not necessarily Steam. Uh, and we also have quite nice sales on the Nintendo Switch and other platforms. So it's the thing also worth noting here is we wouldn't be able to do this without maintaining control of the IP. So we're the only IP holder. We've worked with multiple publishers and distributors. For example, THQ was our distributor for the physical edition on PC in the USA. We also had a publisher for Xbox 360 called the Cyberfront Corporation, which later went out of business, and the game was picked up again by THQ Nordic then. We work with various partners and try to use every possible occasion to drive sales further. One thing that's also very important to keep your sales alive is DLC. Uh, as you can see by this sales data, we've sold close to 600,000 units of DLC. This is just for Zombie Driver HD. So if we calculate the sales data for Zombie Driver HD alone, not including the previous product, Zombie Driver, which was later superseded by Zombie Driver HD, you can see that we had more than 300,000 copies sold of Zombie Driver HD on Steam, and most of our DLCs, I mean, all of them sell more than 100,000 copies. So that's more than 30% attach rate of our DLC to the main game. Why is this important? This is important because by releasing DLC, you can do a couple of things. One of those is raising the average price point. What we do very often is we bundle the DLC and the soundtrack together with the game and then release it at a higher price. For example, Zombie Driver originally is priced at $10, and the complete edition with all DLC is priced at $15. From our data, based on our data and the other developers that I also talked about 50% of people buy complete editions because they just want the complete package. Also, you usually do after some time, you do most of your sales during with discounts. So when you, for example, do a 50% discount, the main game is $5, the complete edition is $7.50. It's not that big of a difference for the customer because the price is still pretty low, but with the increased volume and the increased price, you can sell the game at 50% more. 50% of the people buy the complete edition, so that's actually driving the price point up by 25%. That's really nice addition. And we've been selling our DLC pretty aggressively with the game, running multiple promotions. And as you can see, our lifetime conversion rate for wishlist for Zombie Driver is 46%, which is above the Steam average. And this is thanks to the fact that we constantly promote Zombie Driver even more than 10 years after it has been released. It's still possible and it still drives sales. So the second game that we released was called X-Morph Defense. We worked 5 years on this game after releasing Zombie Driver HD. And we released it on Steam, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 simultaneously on August 31st, 2017. And afterwards on the Nintendo Switch, GOG.com, Windows Store, Wii Game, and in China, and a few other stores. So the game even went through official government approval in China. It has sold over 200,000 units, of which 91,000 was on Steam, the rest in its other platforms. It has seen physical releases on the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch. One thing to note is the latest physical release of X-Morph Defense was in July 2020. So that's actually 3 months ago. As you can see, even 3 years after the game's launch, it's still possible to release it in a box. And neither X-Morph Defense or Zombie Driver were ever huge spectacular hits, but the game are selling constantly, and we've also actively pitched it to distributors, and we promote it all the time. So it has also seen releases on PlayStation Plus, on the PS4 in Japan and Asia. And we've released 3 DLC expansions and a soundtrack for the game. X-Morph Defense is also coming to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X as soon as possible. So once again, this is the sales graph for X-Morph Defense. As you can see, it is even more dense than Zombie Driver with promotions. This is the game's launch. And then we kept on releasing updates and running sales. You can see some daily deals here. Our DLC releases, we usually release our DLCs with some kind of featured promotion. On Steam, that's a daily deal. On Xbox, that can be one of their custom ID at Xbox promotions or other events. And it also always works quite well for driving the game's sales upwards. And you can do this multiple years after the release. So if you would be, for example, negotiating a contract with a publisher, do keep in mind that the first year or the first few months of sales are not the only thing that's important. You it's good practice to also leave a period after which you can release your game from a publisher if they don't keep pushing your game. Not many publishers run regular promotions. And by regular, I mean every 2 months, for example. So if they stop doing that, my advice would be to take the game away from them and start doing that on your own. So this is, again, some sales data for Zombie Driver HD, for X-Morph Defense, and the DLC sales data. So again, you can see that it's again very good practice to release DLC with the game, because the attach rate of the DLC uh, is something that should be looked at, because it can drive your revenue significantly. Also, thanks to the fact that we are running promotions regularly, the the discount levels don't have to be that deep, but you should remember to promote your game constantly and regularly. You can drive your wish list quite high. Again, for X-Morph Defense here, we've got 32.1%. So the key takeaways from our experience and from this data would be that remember that the game's sales are not just the first month or the first year. You can sell the game constantly, and if you even if a single platform doesn't give you a lot of revenue, think would it be a lot if you had 5 platforms or 10 platforms, multiple releases, porting that to other places, signing physical contracts? Do remember that there are multiple ways of how you can monetize a game after its release. New platforms and opportunities also cyclically appear. This is normal in our industry. Zombie Driver has seen a release on the Xbox 360, then Xbox One, and now it's coming to the Xbox Series X. So that's 3 console generations, 1 re-release, and multiple PC storefronts, physical editions. You can do all of this. Also, adding additional products, DLC, soundtracks, doing bundles. All of this adds up to a product's lifetime revenue, and it can surprise you how much it is possible to generate additional income outside of, what you count as direct game sales. So how do we do this? How do we run these constant promotions? Well, we basically use a calendar to plan out our promotions. Let me quickly jump here. It's a simple spreadsheet with dates, product names, uh, platforms, the kind of event that's going to run over there, some basic info, and what's the status. One thing that's probably the most important for me here is to plan on future promotions, not only the ones that are currently available in the pipeline, but think to the future, plan ahead. I usually try to plan out 2 or 3 promotions ahead because some of these are events that are planned by platform holders or other events that pop up here and there. But when your game is older, you will get less and less opportunities from platform holders, and you will have to generate these opportunities by yourself. It's possible. On Steam, you can just schedule promotions yourself. This is also possible on Switch, on other platforms. It might be more difficult, but it's also possible. And usually, if you have to talk to a platform holder about this, they like talking about setting up a longer schedule so they don't have to do this very often. Think about 6 months ahead. This is something that's a good timeline. So also add all of your important marketing beats to the calendar. Think about can you tie a sale with a marketing beat. These usually work the best together because you get increased exposure, uh, an interesting price point for the user, and that creates additional push to drive game sales. Also, add all your seasonal sale events to the calendar. Try to fill it out in advance. You will usually get some events that are generally known when happen, and then try to fill the gaps. Because one thing that I know by myself is that it's easy to forget about promotional opportunities, especially when you have multiple products on multiple platforms. This can get complicated, so getting things organized is a good idea. Uh, Different platforms have different calendars. Some of them are publicly known, some are not. If they are not known, ask about that. If there's no promotional opportunity visible for you, ask about it. Most of the promotional opportunities that we earned, we asked about them. They weren't provided to us. We actively asked about running additional promotions. Also, remember to plan your discount levels. Standard practice is to cascade this discount levels to drop lower and lower and lower. But after some point, when you have a game that's 10 years old, you've run all of the possible discount levels. We've sold the zombie driver at any price, excuse me, any price down to 90% off. And from our practice, after you run the first 90% discount, uh, it's good to go back a bit and start selling it at 75 or 80%. Our experience is that the revenue level is actually the same with 80 or 90%. But our experience is that users who buy the game super cheap aren't always sure if they buy what they want. It's just so cheap that they can try, and then they will leave more negative reviews for you because it just might not be the game that they wanted. So our experience is that going back to a higher discount level is good because it provides the same revenue level with higher ratings. And always remember that you shouldn't waste time. Time is precious, and there's no way to run a promotion that you've lost. So you should cover all of your calendar without leaving any available spaces. Also think about PR and marketing as an engineering project. It's more science than art, and you can do this quite well if you organize things. Yeah, so again, a bit about DLC data. Some of these numbers are based on Simon Carlos's blog on Gamma Sutra. He writes really good stuff. So the data that he gathered for Aragami DLC was that the attach rate was 4% for that developer. Crypt of the Necrodancer DLC 6%. Excuse me. And you can see that Darkest Dungeon was, for example, 15%. In our case, with driving the such regular sales and driving them all of the time, we were able to achieve 39% attach rate for Zombie Driver DLC, and I think that it's possible for any game if it's promoted, if the DLC is promoted well enough, and if it's built into the game well enough. And I'll touch on that in a moment. So the way that we also sell our DLC is by building it into the game. And here we have an example of that. So for X-Morph Defense, when you buy the base game and start it on Nintendo Switch, in this case, you can see that you've got the story campaign available and survival mode. And we've got additional tiles here for the DLC campaigns. And whenever a user clicks on this campaign, it will open up the Nintendo eShop for them to purchase the product, which makes it easy, seamless, and they can do this after playing the main game when they are still into it and they remember what's going on. So this definitely helps. We also always launch DLC with a price promotion or a PR beat, a new trailer or something to build up interest. So demos. Demos are also one thing that we've used to drive sales over time. We've done demos for Zombie Driver, X-Morph, and the Riftbreaker. The way how demos work has changed over the years. So during the Xbox 360, Xbox Live Arcade, and PS3 era, it was very popular to do a trial plus unlock kind of style demo that could instantly convert into a full game. These work quite well. And currently, the new popular way to release a demo, especially on Steam, is to do this before the game's launch. Whether to do it as a separate demo or a prologue, you've probably seen the Steam Summer Festival, or even Xbox tried running some demos on their platform for games that aren't released yet. And the question is, how does this work? Well, we've done this, and I have some data to talk about this in a moment. So how do we also use our older games to boost awareness of our newer games. We on Steam, especially on Steam, most of the people or some of them that own your games will convert to followers that you can contact through various announcements. There's a cross promotion possibility on Steam. And what we do is we always send announcements to the followers of our previous games about the new game release. We do it a couple of times. So when we announce a game, when we have a major new trailer, and when the new game launches, we don't do it every week, but a few times doesn't hurt, and it also drives awareness. And when you have a larger user base, like for Zombie Driver, where we have 500,000 people on Steam, that can drive some significant traffic. What we also do is we place links inside our games. Uh, so there's a menu button saying check out our new game. And when they click on that link, it simply launches a new Steam page in their browser showing them our newer game. And this is also helping us to drive additional wish lists for the new product. We've done this for X-Morph Defense, and now we're doing this again for the Rift Breaker. Another interesting way how you can drive sales for newer games is to do loyalty discounts for the owners of your previous games. This works well on Steam and on Switch. We haven't tried this on other platforms, but you can, for example, do a 25 discount, excuse me, on your newer game for the owners of your older games. One thing to remember is also to upsell the game on your social media channels that you've used for your older games. Our current approach is to run a single EXOR Studios marketing channel for all our games. This way, we don't lose the people that were following us when we move to a newer game, and we can keep on selling it to our previous fans. The most valuable thing that we've done so far for using our older games to promote newer ones is running custom Steam sales. You can check out this link, storesteampowered.com sale EXOR, to see an example of how we've done this. You can actually, when you've got multiple products, you can ask Valve to run a daily deal and to link that to a custom curator list, or to create a custom sale page that can, for example, look like this. And we've done this a couple of times in the past. At first, we've done this with a simple curator list. Where you have your Steam franchise page, you can create lists of games. And we've put X-Morph Defense, Zombie Driver, all of our previous DLCs, and the upcoming Rift Breaker in the same list. This way, people that came to the sale would also see our upcoming product, and they could wishlist it for future. So when we released the Rift Breaker when we announced the Rift Breaker on March 8th, 2019, we ran a daily deal like that. You can see it over here. This is the exact deal. And the result was a wishlist spike for 3,000 daily wishlists. In total, it got us about 6,000 wish lists. You can see the comparison of that action to, for example, running a booth at PAX or having a most viral in-group post. Uh, this was a really significant driver of wish list for us. And later on, we've done something even better because, as I mentioned before, for the Rift Breaker, we've done a demo before the game release. It's called the Rift Breaker Prologue, and it was released as a standalone product on Steam. So it received a launch window, and we launched it together with a daily deal of consisting of our other games and a custom sale page, a live stream running throughout the sale, and it has resulted in the front page featuring that we got was 24 hours, while the entire sale lasted for 14 days, 2 weeks. And the sale was visible on all our product pages. So all our product pages linked this one site. Uh, as a result, we received this spike of wish lists. So it was 10,000 wish lists on a single day. And in total, the entire 12-week sale resulted in 165,000 prologue downloads, which we can couple with 107,000 downloads of the game's demo, which is the same content but delivered in a different way. That was available through the Steam Summer Festival, and we also sent out keys for that through our partner AMD through their newsletter. So in total, 272,000 people have downloaded the Windbreaker prologue experience, and thanks to that, we gained 56,000 wish lists for the Rift Breaker, which is a really huge number, especially when we compare that to the fact that X-Morph Defense had only 10,000 wish lists when it launched. So right now, the Rift Breaker is at 225,000 wish lists, and a lot of these wish lists were gained by upselling it through our previous games. So we promoted it through in-game links. We've run actually the 4 such developer sales with our previous games, upselling the Rift Breaker. The previous ones weren't such custom developer sales, but they also did well. And this shows that there are multiple ways in which you can use your portfolio of older games to promote newer ones. So I think the most important takeaway from this is to nurture your games catalog. Don't forget about your older products. And if you have them signed with a publisher and they are not promoting them, I think it's a good idea to take them back and start running them on your own. So this is it from me for today. If you have any questions about our method, how we do things, feel free to send me an email, and I'll be happy also to take any of your questions right now. Thank you.